Where in the world is James the Problem Houston? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can tell, man, I am old school. Shout out to PBS, man. This video, man, we're going to start a new segment. It's not going to be today, but I got it in the works, man. It's going to be called Uncomfortable Conversations. But this uncomfortable conversation will be about a different player. But James Houston made me think of it. Now, I've been seeing a lot of things in the internet landscape about the potential of James Houston being traded and or cut. Now, that leads me to this situation here. Shout out to A to Z Sports, which now has a YouTube channel. So I'm going to pay my success forward and after the many Mike Payton articles that I have used for my content, I'm going to direct you to their new YouTube channel, A to Z Sports, man, paying it forward. You know what I'm saying? I look at myself as very privileged and honored to be in my position, and I had to start somewhere as well. So shout out to those guys at A to Z Sports. Now they're my competition, so, got to keep the pressure on them. But brought up a good point, and something that I've been thinking about as well, is that Tim Patrick has spent 2 weeks on the Detroit Lions roster, and we assume, based on Dan Campbell's comments, that he is going to be elevated at least one last time, but he can move up to the 53-man roster. Now, the roster is full. It 100% is full, so we would have to waive someone or cut someone in order for them to create a spot for Tim to take. Now, while the Detroit Lions handle that, let's focus on James Houston. Inactive. Let's look at the preseason. Played week 1, got hurt, didn't play week 2, barely made the team, in my opinion, with that week 3 performance. Now, I wanted a guy like Matthew Betts. We should have kept him on his team. It is what it is, right? So now we got to look and say that the Detroit Lions figured that there was more potential with James Houston as to why they cut him. We know Matthew was pure power. Now, both gentlemen was in the same position. Both were put in Sam linebacker duties, but only one made the team. We have not brought up Isaac Uku yet, but what's going on with James Houston? Now we get to the season. He is inactive week 1 versus the LA Rams. I want you to put in the comment section, some of you may already know this, how many snaps do you think James Houston played in game 2? I'm going to give you a couple seconds. Y'all remember that commercial? Mr. Owl. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? Let's find out. A 1, a 2, a 3, a 3. James Houston played three snaps for the Detroit Lions. None on special teams, all 3 at edge for the Detroit Lions. Now, some said he made a tackle. I didn't see it on a stat sheet. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. What's going on with James Houston? Is it time to move on from James Houston? Could he be the odd man out? My honest opinion, shouldn't have never made the team in the first place. Again, I know it seems like I can't stand this guy. Not it at all. Not it at all. I just think he might need to change the scenery. Now, if we go back to James Houston's first year, he was non-existent until almost over halfway through the season. Then he came alive and became a dog. But my thing is, you got a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. Pretty agile. Why is Baker Mayfield not in the game? I'm sorry, James Houston not in the game more than 3 snaps? That baffles me. You're talking about a guy who we've seen James Houston chase down Justin Fields. Why is he not in the game? Where is he at? What is going on? Now, we're going to talk about this more in tomorrow's video when we do week 3 or the second look at the defense. Now, I got to create a graphic. And each week, in this series, we're going to follow the Detroit Lions defense in 5 major stats. I think it's points per game, sacks, yards allowed, and 2 other things, run defense and 1 more. The Detroit Lions currently have 7 sacks. 7. Aiden Hutchinson with 5.5, Levi with half and half equals 1, and Marcus Davenport with 2. With 1. And he was inactive. So you got a guy, Marcus Davenport, inactive, James Houston, 3 snaps. What's going on? Is there more than meets the eye when it comes to James Houston? I told you guys a lot of times you'll hear rumors and rumblings and things like that. Read an article from John Macron with SI. Could James Houston be in the doghouse? Heard some stuff in training camp as well. Can't just sweep everything under the rug. Let me be very clear. Last year, we heard the same things about Isaiah Buggs. Isaiah Buggs, and by the end, near the end of the season, don't forget, Isaiah Buggs was traded. I'm sorry, he was cut. He was cut. So could something similar be going on with James Houston? Now, this is all speculation. I have no inside sources. I don't want to make it seem like that I've heard anything from anyone outside of the same things you have, that all may not be well when it comes to James Houston. And quite frankly, why isn't he playing? Why isn't he playing? In 2 games in 2024, he's played a total of 3 snaps. It can't be all good. If you had so much faith, is it that he is? Remember when we looked at the depth chart and I said to you guys that it was truly between him and Matthew Betts. If you're not, and maybe you're not bringing up Isaac Ukwu because you only get those 3 elevations. Now, my honest opinion, just spitballing from a basement armchair GM, is the possibility that James Houston could be traded. He could be traded. That is he is not on the Detroit Lions roster after this year. If they can get, I'm sure somebody somewhere, he could be this year's DeAndre Swift. Goes to a team that could use his services, because we're not at this point. So again, very similar to the Josh Reynolds conversation. We're going to start the segment, uncomfortable conversations, because we're going to have one. We might have we're going to start a few segments, man. And one of them is going to be uncomfortable conversations. As a matter of fact, that's what these are going to be called from now on. But our first one will probably be tomorrow. Okay, so be ready for that. I got to get a sound bite and everything, man, for those segments. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think everything is okay in the land of the Detroit Lions and James Houston? I will say this. The difference is with Isaiah Buggs, it was like we were hearing stuff. It was like, man, him and Aaron Glenn got into a physical fight and all this other stuff. And then, before the season ended, he was cut. So nothing like that has come out with James Houston outside of the stuff that we've heard. Something just seems off. I don't know, but let me know what you think it could be. Do you think it's anything, or do you think we could be reading into this? You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. Don't forget, this channel is brought to you by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. You could literally rock with any other YouTube channel, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome, man. I will catch you in the next video.